Welcome back to another episode of NFL News on the Boom Bust channel. I'm your host Terry, and today I want to talk about the Buffalo Bills. And I'm fully aware that despite what I'm about to say, there's a very real possibility the Bills could get a good head coach hire and make some noise next year, particularly obviously because they have one of the best quarterbacks in the league. So I get all that. I think the Bills are falling apart in front of us. There is nothing, and if any, I feel like most of us have learned this in the last few years. If anything, there's nothing more detrimental to an organization than an owner. The owners, bad owners, or at least owners that what's the word I'm looking for? Owners that interfere. Like, I guess you could be a bad owner, but if you're not in the way, then things could be okay. But bad owners that also interfere with everybody's job, that there's nothing worse than that to an organization. You cannot win. You can't. It's not going to happen. And so the conversation about the Bills for the last however many years has always been not getting over the hump. That conversation about Josh Allen and that conversation was had about Sean McDermott. So, of course, that being a big reason why they end up firing Sean McDermott, which I think already was a red flag. Like, what are we talking about? I do not agree with the whole we went as far as we could go thing. That's absolutely insane. You mean to tell me if you added three all pros to the team next year, if you added Justin Jefferson and I don't know, Derwin James and Nick Bosa, you mean to tell me that they couldn't go further? Like, obviously, I'm not saying go out and get those guys, but I'm saying, like, that's insane to say. Like, your roster can always get better. And with more talent, you can do more. Now, it's one thing if you want to say that about, it ain't even too, they done fired so many coaches. Who's still young in their career that hasn't really proven much? I don't even know. Most of the coaches have been fired. But anyway, like, say like a D'Amico Ryans, even though he has been to the playoffs. But if you want to say that about D'Amico, where you're like, I can't guarantee a better roster he would win. Sure, because he's young, he hasn't done it too long. But McDermott has shown you that not only is over time he wins, but also on top of that, he's done it with low talent at times and overachieved. And to be honest, I've picked against the Bills for at least the last 3 years, I want to say, because of that defense. And even when the defense was highly ranked, like, they never had an edge rusher, like a prominent one. I know Russo has gotten better, but they never had a prominent one. So it was hard for me to pick. It was really on the strength of Josh Allen. So in my mind, you've overachieved in some years, especially as they start to get hurt a lot. And they were kind of hurt this year. And so for the life of me, I don't believe in this idea we went as far as we could go with you. Like, what are you talking about? There's so many holes in that roster. So that was already the first red flag. And to be honest, not the worst, because if you fire a coach that doesn't deserve to be fired, that's one thing. The process and how you got there and the reasoning is a bigger red flag. And then the red flag after that is that you promoted Brandon Beane, who I don't have a problem with. And to be honest, I haven't looked at every single thing he's done, but I probably would defend him a little. I tend to defend GMs because the whole conversation with the draft a lot of times is stupid. Like, I hate when people do the, well, you skipped this person and he went on to do this. I'm not going to, well, I will. I am going to keep saying this, but I wish I didn't have to keep saying this. Players are not good in a vacuum, people. Players are the results of where they go and what's around them. And so I'm not saying every time, but a lot of times you looking at what a player is doing with one team is not a direct correlation to what they would do with your team. So I don't like when people do that. Like I said, there are times where you got someone that like had like clear issues that you should have known about, or you pick somebody that just wasn't as talented, or you let somebody slip. But even that's tricky because once you're talking about guys out of the first round, the whole league passed on them. So to sit here and be like, how did you not identify that talent? The whole league obviously missed it. So when people get to talking about the draft picks and stuff, sometimes I don't like that. Now, I think what's more concrete is when you look at how you go about constructing the roster. Obviously, free agent signings are different because you should know what they are in terms of like a proven product, how much money you get, you know, how you work the cap, and what positions you don't address and do address. So there's legitimate criticism there, but I'm not even like sitting here calling for Brandon Beane necessarily. But I will say to promote him is insane. To lose, first of all, even to back up to McDermott, you lost in overtime in the second round of the playoffs after an interception where you were on a game-winning drive, interception by your quarterback, not your head coach. So it'd be one thing if you just got, you know, drugged down the street by the Broncos, but you were pretty much in control of and almost won that game in overtime. So the coach is showing you consistently he can put the team in position to compete. And you're not always going to win. And that is crazy to me. And this is a commentary on a lot of these owners, because look at how many people are getting fired. Like, and I'm not saying everybody deserves to keep their job, but it just, a lot of times these owners are the reason your team is losing. Like, fans complain about owners for some reasons that a lot of times aren't really that important. But it is true, the owners are the biggest impediment to winning. Can be. And so, oh, well, we didn't win, so, you know, we're going to get you out of here. Like, what is the next person going to be able to do? I don't understand what it is you think is going to happen. And I'm probably going to talk a little later about head coaching stuff in terms of my head coach, Ben Johnson. But I'm going to break down the things you can evaluate a head coach on fairly. And the number one thing that I talked about is the locker room. So if your coach loses the locker room, then none of the other qualities matter. So when they first said they fired McDermott, I was like, this has to be about him and Josh Allen. Like, I just have to believe that. But then you got a player on the team openly criticizing the team for firing the coach. And then you got a lot of the players speaking up about the coach, or like former players and stuff, talking about how good he was. So clearly he didn't lose the locker room. And I would go as far as to say he has to have a good relationship with the leaders. A lot of times the quarterback is one of those leaders. But I will go as far as say you don't have to have a great relationship with the quarterback. Like, it has to be productive, but it doesn't have to be great. If the rest of the locker room is riding with the head coach, then that's fine. So once he got fired, like I said, I was like, this has to be like something with him and Josh Allen, or he lost the locker room. But then we're seeing it doesn't look like he lost the locker room. So I was like, this makes no sense. And then, like I said, to look at that situation, how that game went, to look at the season, and then turn around and say Brandon Beane should be promoted. What? What are you talking about? And then he talked about he fired him. He made the decision to fire him in the locker room after the game. So, like, you didn't process none of that. You didn't, you know what I'm saying? You didn't have any conversations. You was just like, okay, yeah, we lost. Like, you were in overtime. What are you talking about? He didn't lose you the game. And that's the other thing. He didn't lose you the game. Josh Allen did. So that's crazy. And then the Brandon Beane thing. Then today was the cherry on top. Like, to me, it was just like bad decisions. And even to come out and be like, to talk about your thought process, to show that it was flawed, I was like, man, that big red flag. But then the biggest red flag of them all, the only time, not only, but one of the few times in recent history that I can remember where owner comes out and throws a player on the roster under the bus just to defend, threw Sean McDermott under the bus just to defend Brandon Beane. Now, one of the things people aren't talking about, especially stupid Stephen A. Smith, I can't stand him. They are not giving Brandon Beane the credit he deserves for how he handled that. If you didn't see the rest of the press conference when he was able to talk later, he cleared it up, I think, in an excellent PR way, like on the fly. That was crazy. So if you didn't see this, you should go see it. If you probably have, if you follow the Bills. So they're talking to Brandon Beane, and I think they were talking about Keon Coleman specifically. The owner interrupts just to jump in and be like, hold on, let me just tell you, that wasn't Brandon Beane. That wasn't my boy Brandon Beanie. That was Sean McDermott in them. He didn't want Keon Coleman. That was the coaching staff. He was being a team player and went with it. Like, what? And so, because obviously everybody's making jokes about, like, how does Keon Coleman feel watching this? And it's funny, not funny. I would feel terrible if I knew him and had to, be around him for that. But, like, bruh, you threw him, like, you basically like, yeah, he's trash, but it wasn't my boy's fault. And then you threw McDermott and them under the bus. Like, that is insane on so many levels. So you clearly, because at first it was just like, maybe you don't really know what you're doing. And okay, that's fine. You're an owner. But that press conference to me showed that he very clearly has some issues with McDermott, and he very clearly really likes Brandon Beane, because Brandon Beane did not need to be defended. And again, to Brandon Beane's credit, he later walked the comments back, because he didn't make the comments, but he softened those comments and was just like, to be clear, I was all in on that pick. Like, he owned it up. But the owner tried to give him an escape. So, look, man, that is the behavior from an owner that derails the organization. And I don't know all the owners. I don't follow all these teams. But the owners you do know, it ain't for a good reason. And so I didn't know much about them. But then now this, I'm like, yo, this is the Woody Johnson type stuff. And I've said this before. I've talked to some people in the league. So I've heard some stories specifically about Woody, but also about other owners. Funny enough, Cleveland Browns was one of them. This stuff is legit. Some of these owners, and you even saw it in the Giants. Well, with the Giants offseason thing, which I wish they brought that back. But with that, he was more passive. And some people would say it was a mistake. To me, Saquon wasn't changing that team. But anyway, but you see, like, these owners are right there. They not often, a private island or chilling at work in they, day job. They are right there. And some of these owners will get in these draft meetings. They will get in some of these game planning meetings. They will get in these free agent decisions, and they will F up the team. Like, I will give credit. Actually, I'm a fan. I don't even have to say I'm give credit. I know a lot of people hate on him, but Nick Wright is one of the best in sports media right now. And he said something the other day that I completely agree with, and I think is an excellent point to illustrate. But he was like, he wonders that if you gave a coach a 10-year run, like guaranteed, like, if I fire you before 10 seasons, you get to own the team. So the owner, it has to stick to it. He said he wonders how many coaches in the NFL that have been head coaches, whatever, would be successful. And he said he thinks it's the vast majority of them. He said he thinks a lot of bad things happen from coaches and GMs trying to do moves to please the owner and save their job. And I completely agree. So these owners will mess stuff up. So we know what Jerry Jones does with the Cowboys. We know. Cleveland, not only what happened with Deshaun Watson, that seems like old news, but we can't forget how that completely derailed Stefanski and everything happened in there. Now, I don't know the exact truth about who really pulled the trigger on Baker as far as getting him out of there. Hey, Baker's good. He's solid. He's good. Maybe you just quarterbacks do need a new setting sometimes, or players really. So, okay, fine. Whoever, we'll give Stefanski that loss. But the Deshaun Watson derailed everything. Obviously, because he made himself like a hated owner for what he did with that contract that shackled them to Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson never was good again, and that completely hindered what they could do with the roster. That completely hindered their ability. Well, not really, because they were able to win and go to the playoffs, and which is why Stefanski was a coach of the year. But not only that, that's bad enough. What he just did with Shador got Stefanski fired. Pretty got all of them fired. Because, like, bro, you completely forced them to do that. And it just played out. It just overshadowed everything that was happening. And it went off the rails. Like, and then people trying to act like the Browns forced him to go to the 5th round. Every other team passed on him too. So, but they only took him because of the owner. So stuff like that. Woody Johnson, like I talked about the Jets. We all heard the stories about the Madden and coming in. And I've heard some other stories too. He really comes in and like forces them to make terrible decisions. And what are you gonna do? It's the owner. So I don't think the team is necessarily so bad that they can't win, but I think if your owner is going to first of all, we already see he clearly doesn't have the skill set to make smart football decisions. But if he's going to continue to enforce his will, like maybe he's just like, hey, this is my big decision. Everything going forward, I'll let Brandon do. Okay, cool. Go back to the shadows. But if this is how he's going to act, you immediately become one of those dysfunctional organizations. It's just what it is. So it's two things: owners that don't want to spend on the roster, which is new because I found that out last year, how the salary cap works with that. I forgot. I think it's 5 years. So the salary cap is actually a number, or not the salary. The minimum spending is a number that's over a 5 year period, and so I thought that was every year you have to spend 90% of your cap. You don't. You have to do it in 5 years, and there are absolutely some owners who will not spend just to save money. And then, of course, facilities and everything else. That's why they got these report cards. So that's one, spending money. And the other thing that will completely derail the team from the owner is the owner forcing his decisions instead of letting professionals do it. So my, I don't know. I was flabbergasted. I was like thrown off. That was crazy. That is just so dysfunctional to do. But like I said, if he goes back to the shadows, okay, like I said, it's very possible they get a good hire and go forward. Now they talking about getting Dayball. To me, that's red flag number 4. So you're going to retain, or at least I guess they're talking like they're going to retain Joe Brady, who replaced Dayball. Oh, never mind. Take it back. I forgot that was a different OC. Dayball left for the head coach job. The other OC got fired and replaced by Brady. Okay, never mind. But still, I don't know. For some reason, Dayball and Brady being back doesn't make sense. I'm guessing if Dayball gets it, Joe Brady won't come back. I don't know. But either way, that's a red flag to me. Even without the awkwardness, I just think, yes, he was the OC and it worked out. Now he did win Did he win Coach of the Year? I feel like he did win with the Giants. But either way, I just don't think it was a great coaching job over there with the Giants. And so, yeah, I don't know. I don't know that would be a good pick. But doing that just because him and Josh Allen get along is the wrong move, which again makes me feel like something happened with McDermott and Josh Allen. So anyway, that's it. I just want to talk about the Bills real quick. I guess it wasn't quick, but I'm gonna keep my eye out. They got one of the problematic owners, and so we'll see how much he derails the team, because you're not going to get a lot of play. Obviously, money talks, but you're not going to get a lot of players that want to go there with the way they're acting and how the owner's acting, and the decisions they're making. You got, again, players on the team publicly calling out the team while still on the roster. Like, that's just dysfunction, man. That's not what you want. And whoever replaces McDermott is now fighting an uphill battle. And on top of that, you're walking into a situation where Brandon Beane is pretty much a made man. So as a coach, as a head coach, you don't want to report to the GM. That's not a good setup. I don't know why teams do that. But it's even worse than that now, because this man is promoted team president and the owner is defending him. So if I'm a wanted head coach, like a valued, sought after head coach, I wouldn't want to go there. Everyone keeps saying it's desirable. I'm like, how? This is looking like a dumpster fire. The only saving grace is Josh Allen. And to be honest, Josh Allen just played terrible. And because you have Josh Allen, it's a double-edged sword. The expectations of you right away are going to be different. So I don't know, man. It looks messy. And I just want to talk about it. All right, so that's it for me. Go to the comment section, let me know what you think. Share it around, get the convo started. Thumbs up, subscribe. Thanks for